So hey guys, so today in this video we are going to talk about how you can prepare for your machine learning interview as a fresher. It's fine if even if you are a working professional and are thinking of switching your role, but mostly this video is going to focus on jobs openings which are related to AI and ML and freshers are applying for. That can be an internship, that can be a full time, anything related to the role. So I have taken a lot of interviews in the previous 1.5 month, and I can assure you there are a lot of mistakes that candidates do, good candidates do. Even I did when I was preparing for the interviews as a fresher, and which I think you guys can improve. And these mistakes can be improved within 2 to 3 months if you work constantly on it, and if you have a good background in machine learning and AI. So let's start. So the first thing is getting your basics right. So a lot of people don't know the very basics of Python. They know maybe how to print integers, they know how to use dictionaries, but they don't know the very basics. You must know how to use the lambda function, and the point is you should not only know that okay it exists, but what is the use of lambda function in, because if you see one thing, right, a lot of people are nowadays focusing on the very basics, and they are forgetting that these functions are used in the topmost code bases when you're testing, debugging or anything, right? So in general also as a Python language coder, you should know that what are basics, like what is lambda, what is map, what is filter, like how you should know that the dictionaries work internally and everything you should know. Now coming to the ML part, you one should always know what is forward propagation, what is backward propagation, and if possible mathematics too. I have written if possible depicting. It's fine if you can't dive very much deep into the part, but at least you should know the very basic formulas that are used. Let's say the updation of the new weights, right? So that will be the weight new equals to weight old minus the derivation of the loss function that you have with respect to the old weight, right? So these things you should know, because essentially at the back end, if you don't know how a library or how a code or algorithm is working, you won't ever get to tweak anything if you want to ever, right? Now you should also know that how a neuron works internally. I've seen a lot of people talking about, okay, I built this neural network, I know this CNN, that, and RNN, but they don't know how a neuron works. They don't know that what is how activation functions and weight updation takes place inside a neuron. That's a very basic thing, right? Which one should know when you're preparing for a ML and AI interview. Now, you should also know some very basic algorithms like what is linear regression, logistic regression, decision trees, SVM, KNN, and differences between each of them. There can be very basic questions like what is the difference between, let's say, linear regression, logistic regression. Pretty straightforward, right? But people struggle to answer that because they know how to code, they know what they're doing in their code, but they don't know the very basics, which are these algorithms. And guys, know these things. What is classification versus regression? What is overfitting versus underfitting? What is supervised versus unsupervised learning? These are very basic stuff which everyone should know, because at last these are the fundamentals of machine learning, which if you don't know, then you're high when you will go up, you are going to face a lot of problems. When you won't know how to solve the problem of overfitting, you won't know what to do, right? And when these terms will be used in internal discussion, you would be confused that okay, what is this happening? And even in the interview, it's very much possible that people are going to ask you very basic terms, because eventually you are applying as a fresher or as an intern. So they won't be asking you very much tough question, but the very basics of ML, right? And getting the basics right is the most important thing in both Python and ML. Okay. Now the second thing, know your projects in and out. A lot of people tend to do their projects. They work for it, worked on it for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, even 1 year, but they don't know what was the objective of this project and what are they doing in it. What is the internal working? Just importing 4 or 5 libraries, calling some function on some data, and making the output like output and front end look beautiful isn't a good project, right? You should know that the data that you are using, how it was collected, how it was cleaned, and like any pre-processing data pre-processing step that you did. You suppose in CNN you did data augmentation, why you did that, how you did that, you should know. Now be prepared to discuss the algorithms that you implemented and why you specifically chose them and how they perform. There is a very much reason that you're choosing a specific algorithm and not the other one. You should know why. It's pretty straightforward. You can tell, okay, I went through this research paper and I found out, okay, that this particular algorithm was suitable for my implementation, and this was the reason given in the paper. It's pretty straightforward, right? But a lot of people tend to not think about that. Now the next thing is, you should know what were the challenges you faced during a project. You should not always say that okay, my project was all pretty straightforward, I didn't face any challenge, I just went through ChatGPT, it solved all my problems. No, obviously you face some challenges. Not ChatGPT can obviously not do everything. So just prepare a storyline, because when you present your model as a story, you know that you are selling your model as the tech you are presenting it, right? Because at the very end you are trying to tell how your project has created an impact. That's the case. Now be very clear about the results, because or the key takeaways, the improvement that you would make in future also. Now let's say you have a project X. Obviously a project can't be 100% complete, but if it is complete you should know the results at least, right? That okay, after this specific case I was able to like solve this particular problem with this percent accuracy. You should know. Let's say I was working on my Kisan Pro project, right? So I presented that in Smart India Hackathon. Now at the very end, when I was showing that to the mentors, I told them that okay, if this project is implemented in the farms, I can assure that at least 30 to 40% yield will be increased, because we will be able to detect a disease which will be spreading overnight in a farm. We will be knowing that before. So at least 30 to 40% increase in the yield will be there minimum. So that's how you present it, right? Now the next case, problem solving skills. I have told it so many times, but people tend to, when focusing on a specific domain, let's say a lot of people who are focusing on web development, let's say they are focusing on app development, or let's say machine learning or AI, they tend to not focus on their problem solving skills. Guys, problem solving is not only for DSA, or for clearing the DSA interviews. It will also help you, better the way you are thinking. Let's say you have been solving a particular case problem in your company. If you already have worked on so many puzzles, or let's say problem statements like linked list and everything, stack and queues, you will know that okay, in this case, if a particular code is getting stuck, how can I solve them? It not only increases your knowledge about that particular language, the data structures and algorithm, but also increase your general problem solving skills. So use platforms like LeetCode and HackerRank. They are free of cost to practice coding problems regularly. At least try to solve 1 to 2 problems every single day. Now you also need to focus on writing clean, efficient and optimized code. Now for this you need to know data structure and algorithms to enhance performance. Like if you are implementing recursion, it's a very high possibility that the interviewer or like me will be expecting that at the very end you will be telling me okay, that this has a time complexity of 2 raised to the power n, let's say exponential, and now I will be scaling it down to n square using dynamic programming. It's a very basic case, right? If you are implementing recursion, dynamic programming automatically comes into the picture. So that's the case. Now break down the problem. Not every time you need to code everything. Don't start coding. Just simply sit, think about the problem. Many a times the interviewer won't ask you to code everything. They will be asking you to pseudo code and tell what you are thinking. Even in my interviews, I remember I was given some doubly linked list problem. I wasn't asked to code every single line and run it. I was simply asked, tell me what you are thinking and just write a pseudo code. That's how you do things, right? And practice in mock interviews. During my placement preparation, me and my friends used to swap the cases of problems with each other. Like we had let's say 3 problems I chose, and one of my friends chose 2 to 3 problems, and then we used to give each other the problems and then explain each other that okay, this is the code that I was thinking, this is the process I was thinking, and I particularly think that this is the best case to solve it. So that's how your friends and you would be able to get that case that okay, if in an interview I have to solve a problem within 30-25 minutes, how I'm going to do that. So that pressure should be there while solving the problem, so that you get accompanied to the things that will be having the pressure on you during the interview, right? So yeah, these were the 3 things that you guys need to focus on. Now I think most of the things are covered, and if you guys have any doubt, you can comment down in the in the comment section. I'll try to answer most of them. Now if you guys still want to get a specific mentor class, I have started my mentoring on both Unstop and TopMeet. You guys can go and book a call from any of them. I have tried to keep that as much cheap as possible, so that everyone get access to the mentorship which they require during the initial phases of this AI ML journey, right? So I've tried to keep it as affordable as possible. And this was the most important part of the video which I wanted to talk about you about. all the very best, and don't get nervous during the interview. Try to stay calm. This is not the last opportunity that you guys will be getting. It's the very first or initial opportunities that you are getting. Just learn where you failed and work on those problems for 2 to 3 months. I'm expecting that you guys have a decent background in AI and ML, and you are just not able to prepare yourself better for interview. So just sit for 2 3 minutes, think what you did wrong in the interview, note it down in your diary, and work on those cases. And I can assure you, if you work that for 1 to 2 months also, like if you have good knowledge and you are not able to clear, but you work on those problems, within 1 to 2 months you will be fully prepared for the interview and you can clear it, expecting that you have a decent knowledge of ML in the back end. Okay, so yeah guys, that was it for the video. I will pin down the mentorship links in the description as usual. You guys can go and book a session if you need. And I hope you guys don't get to need it, and you guys are very much prepared for your interviews. Thank you and have a nice day.